On the Newshour tonight, I'm joined by Gautam Kaul, former IPS officer. He has strong views on what has happened. He's joining us from our studios in New Delhi. Rajesh Kalra, one of India's best-known bloggers, is chief editor of Times Internet. Shobha Dey is with me in the studio, well-known author and columnist. Aslam Ghoni, leader of the National Conference, who will explain perhaps tonight why Omar Abdullah is conspicuously silent on this incident. Maybe this is not important enough for the chief ministers to speak on. My first question tonight is to the minister in the dock in this case, Taj Mohiuddin, Minister for Irrigation and Flood Control of the government of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Mohiuddin.
Yes, please. Yes.
What were you doing when your bodyguards were thrashing the policeman for doing his job? What were you doing?
Let me explain it to you. I was there for 30 seconds and I didn't see anything. It happened with my rear escort. And after 30 seconds, the signal turned green and I left. And I don't know anything about the incident. I came to know only after I finished my TV program and I reached home. The IG traffic called me and I told him to register the case immediately and asked my security officer to send these two cops to the police station.
So you jumped the red signal?
This was the response.
You jumped the red signal?
I didn't.
Your cavalcade did?
Not at all.
Your cavalcade did?
Cavalcade was on my back. My front escort till this was green. The signal was green, he crossed over. But the rear escort, including my cavalcade, we were there for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, I left. I don't know what happened.
You said I do not have. You said I do not have. You said that I don't have vision at the back of my head. In other words, you were saying, you were admitting, Mr. Minister, you were admitting that these.
I was there for. You have to understand, give me this, I was there only for 30 seconds.
So 30 seconds is good enough to inflict a deadly blow on any individual, even if it were to be done in slow motion, Mr. Minister.
I don't know whether the blow was there or not.
Now, how can you pretend not to know? It is your bodyguard.
With respect, do you think I would have asked the IG police to go and register the case? Do you think
Mr. Minister, in retrospect, when the case has already come out in the media, then probably to avoid embarrassment, you would?
Not at all.
Well, you would.
When I came to know at about 6 o'clock, I came to know about 6 o'clock and immediately my response was to ask the IG traffic to register the case.
This is a simple.
And these two. It can't be.
Mr. Minister, with all respect to you, all of this country is horrified at what has happened. And perhaps, Mr. Minister, it is fitting that, you hear the responses of people from the other side. And I want to only simply say this to you, Mr. Minister. These people who have, and I'd like to place on record, attempted to murder a traffic policeman are your personal security officers. They have not landed from Mars.
Just give me a second to explain my position. I was there for 30 seconds. What my security men do, they are periodically changed. They are not the permanent staff with me.
So what?
They are not permanent staff with me. And
now let me tell you.
If they have done something, they are in lockup. The government is conscious.
I am so sorry.
About it.
I am so sorry, Mr. Minister.
Should not happen.
Mr. Minister, it is okay for you now to, because you don't want to be embarrassed publicly, for you to say this. But this instance has become a classic instance for the people of India.
Do you think that within 30?
Because
within 30 seconds.
30 seconds or 10 seconds does not matter.
At the signal. No, you tell me, how do I know what is happening? At my back, 4 vehicles behind me.
Because Mr. Minister, before I open this up for debate, I think it is important for me to tell you exactly the version of Sub-Inspector Mohan Lal, if you permit me. May I?
I have heard it. I have heard.
May I repeat it?
Heard about it.
Is he lying? May I repeat it?
Yes, I have seen that his version of it. I don't want to comment on it.
Now, how can you not comment on it?
Based on fact.
No, you tell me, Mr. Minister, why should I believe you and I not believe that man who has been bashed up? Why should I believe you and not the person who's been bashed up?
Believe him or not.
Why should I not believe? And let me tell you, let me tell you, Mr. Minister.
If you don't want to believe me, what is the fun of, if you don't want to believe me, this ends. You have to take my word as a gentleman. I have not done anything.
I don't know. I want to put those pictures. Mr. Minister, Mr. Minister, this other person, I thank you for, I am not saying you're not a gentleman, but I must say this to you, Mr. Minister. And now I'll put those pictures out. I have no reason to believe that Sub-Inspector Mohan Lal is not a gentleman. And Sub-Inspector Mohan Lal says this, and he says about you. He says you were witnessing the incident.
I don't want to have the comment.
He says
I don't want to go into debate about what he commented.
Why don't you want to? Because you are avoiding the issue? Why don't you want to? Because this man says, Mr. Minister,
I don't want to confront with the government officer.
Well, so you can accuse him of lying.
Of the government, I don't want to confront.
Why don't you?
I am not accusing him of lying.
Why don't you?
Because I had 30 seconds. I was at the signal, and after 30 seconds, I left.
Now let me tell you this.
I don't know what happened after that.
Mr. Minister, don't wash your hands off.
It happened.
Mr. Minister, the question is very simple. In India, for a very long time...
How can I be responsible for my security?
How can you not be responsible? Because if I go by the version, you are completely responsible. You could have simply stepped out of your car and says 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, this argument does not matter. Allow me to complete, Mr. Minister. You could have simply stepped out of your car and you could have said that please stop beating up this man for doing his job.
What is happening on back? You say whatever you know. My security people are not under my control.
Oh, they are not under your control. This is wonderful. This is now a new line of argument.
Not at all.
I have Shobha, they wants to ask you a first question.
They can't be. They are for my security.
So today your security persons, if you flout the rules, if your cavalcade goes away, you are saying they are not under my control. You can have justice delivered Srinagar style, bashed up, beaten up, attempt to murder, and the minister will say, this is not my responsibility. I don't have vision at the back of my head.
I say we are sorry.
Sorry is not good enough.
I am sorry about.
Sorry is not good enough.
About the incident.
Sorry is not good enough, Mr. Minister. Now, couple of questions.
The government is there. They have been arrested.
No, that's not. You can't pass the buck to the police.
What more you can do?
Well, I would say here today, Mr. Minister, that those security officers of yours are deriving their power by being your security officers. And it is this arrogance in our system that not only can a minister be arrogant, but the security officers of a minister can be arrogant. They can bash people up on the streets, including government servants, and get away with it. And a minister cannot, at the end of it, just say sorry and move on. A question is coming your way from Shobha Dey tonight. Shobha Dey has a question for you.
Mr. Minister, there's a question for you. This is the most pathetic defense I've ever heard. And these kind of alibis are not good enough. What do you mean you were just there for 30 seconds? It doesn't matter whether you were there for 30 seconds or even 10 seconds. The point is a cop doing his job has been brutally bashed up by your men. You're saying they're not under your control. Then under whose control are they? Who are they responsible to? This is brutal. This is absolutely inhuman. And you are responsible. The buck stops with you, no one else.
I agree with you as far as this unfortunate incident is concerned. I say this is wrong. This is legally wrong. I understand. That is why I handed over them to the police.
Anywhere else in the world,
after I reached my home.
Mr. Minister, anywhere else in the world, if it happened in the US, if it happened in England, anywhere else, you personally would have been responsible for the conduct of your security guards. You couldn't have passed the buck on to them and said, it's not my, they're not under my control.
It is a totally different agency. How can I be?
You are the only person who is responsible for this. This man is owed not just an apology. What about compensation?
I am not responsible.
Okay.
What about compensation for this man? Who's going to give it? Who's going to pay for it? Anywhere else in the world, he is entitled to sue you and sue your security guards.
Now, Rajesh Kalra has also got a question for you. Hear it from the people of India tonight. And I say once again, why is Omar Abdullah pretending that this case did not happen? Why does Omar Abdullah believe this case is not important for him to respond to? Is it because the minister concerned is a congressman? Because if he acts against Taj Mohiuddin, who is on the Newshour tonight, then perhaps his government is going to fall. Is the disrespect to that police official less important than the survival of the Omar Abdullah government? Why isn't the rest of the media asking these questions? Tonight, I take the opportunity to ask Rajesh Kalra. What's your question to the minister, Rajesh?
See, Minister, it is very clear that the VIPs in this country still live in the dark ages. They don't realize that there is such a vibrant media all around. For you to even, just what Shobha was saying, what do you mean by 30 seconds? You should have come out in 10 seconds and asked those people, what the hell are you guys doing? Stop doing all this. Why didn't you do that? Don't you realize what is happening? The whole world is changing. You are not living 50 years ago when you could get away with murder and nobody would even get to sniff of it. Now everybody gets to know everything right then.
Rajesh,
Just reacted. I think the problem is listen to me. The problem is VIPs in this country are a law unto themselves, and all the lectures are good, applicable to others. They never apply to myself. That is how you always do things. You couldn't be bothered, because this thing happens so often. Except that this time it got caught on camera, or this fellow was beaten and he was brave enough to come and admit. In fact, I was more surprised that this police inspector was so brave to come and admit what all happened to him. I actually wonder what will happen to him now, after he has come back and said all these things.
He'll probably disappear without a trace.
Let me tell you, I cannot be held responsible for a thing which I am not seen.
You are responsible, sir. I'll tell you why.
I am not seen.
I'll tell you why, sir.
You make me responsible because if somebody, it is not my choice of the police officers who are in my security.
No, sir, it's not. That's not the point.
And they are changed periodically.
No, that's not the point.
How can I be
That's not the point tonight. No, Mr.
You cannot come out of the car and you ask them to stop and they would not stop.
Here's the version.
Because I didn't see
it. This is absolute bizarre. Not my security, somebody else's
Mr.
security.
Minister, this is the most incredible.
How can I know about the incident which I have not seen?
Mr. Minister, it's incredible today that the logic we have on the Newshour is the following. One second. The logic is the following. A person, there's an attempt to murder going on right 5 feet behind you. You're sitting in the car. Therefore, and at that point of time, the person who is carrying out the attempt to murder, he's telling the person who is attempting to murder, don't you know?
Just
1 minute, 1 minute.
Cars behind. Four cars behind.
1 minute. Do you know what?
4 cars behind.
Do you know what this person was saying?
How can I know about it?
I am asking you, Mr. Taj Mohiuddin, please don't get angry. I'm not getting angry. I'm asking you the questions. It is my responsibility to ask you the questions, and regardless of how angry you get, I will ask the questions.
I welcome the questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The questions.
It's all right. Many months back, even your chief minister got angry because I asked some questions that didn't stop me from asking the questions. Questions to you is, Mr. Taj Mohiuddin.
Please ask the question.
The question to you is, Mr. Mohiuddin, as representative of your people, in a democracy, you have to answer the questions. This person says that... 1 second, Mr. Minister. This person says here that I told the driver of the escort vehicle has already jumped the signal and commuters had to face troubles because of him. So the traffic policeman is fighting for the commuters. Okay? 1 second. He told me that I didn't know who was sitting inside the vehicle.